Tefi, why do you start these so late? Because I'm a monster. Okay? I'm a monster. Part 1. Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake. Rihanna's concert is in 2 weeks? So let's get into this halftime show. The year was 2004. I was 14 years old. I was covered head to toe in Abercrombie mist. And that wasn't the only thing that fucked with my cerebellum and frontal lobe development. This definitely did. Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake. I want you to know that this performance was so heavily searched and nobody could find the actual video that a couple dudes got together and created a website called YouTube. J-Lo is the reason we have Google Images, and this halftime show is the reason we have the YouTube. Most people know this performance as Nipplegate. And while it only took a moment, there are several things that led up to this. So Janet Jackson was actually supposed to perform in 2002, but Entertainment Weekly reports that after the 9/11 attacks, that the NFL wanted to go with this very woke and charitable rock group. The NFL commission actually went to Madison Square Garden and saw this quote-unquote socially conscious band and booked them for the halftime show instead. And that band was It's a Beautiful Day. Not even American. I appreciate the sentiment, though. It was a sensitive time, and, I hear Bono's a sensitive man. Nothing bad to say about the guy. If there's something bad to say about him, let me know. Or don't. Keep me ignorant, The choice is yours. At this time, also, Justin Timberlake's solo career is non-existent. NSYNC was on hiatus, and Justin Timberlake was still toying with the idea of a solo career. Did you know that Justin Timberlake and Beyonce kissed once? Give it a Google. Horrifying. I mean, whatever. In 2003, people were like, oh my God, is Janet Jackson going to perform this year? And instead, the NFL commission hired No Doubt and Shania Twain. Finally, December 2003, the NFL commission comes out and says, guess what? We got Janet. Like Steve Carell in The Office, it's happening. Oh my God, it's happening. Like that. Okay, so in between the years of 2001, 2004, 2001, when Janet was first booked, in between that gap, Justin Timberlake's career solo takes off with Justified.
Because it's cool when guys complain about things that girls have done to them or their mothers. Cry me a river. Personally, I think it's kind of pussified, but...
Part 2, Janet and Justin Timberlake. And yes, that last clip from part 1 is Britney Spears' voice. I just want to say that I did own Justified. I did. At the time, as a, 14-year-old, 13-year-old, I did not know that the entire album was a collection of rejected songs from Michael Jackson. So, in August of 2002, Justin Timberlake's single Like I Love You took off. The album dropped November of 2002, and its first week it sold 439,000 copies. Justin was everywhere. He's the first celebrity to be on Punk'd. It's a great ep. My personal favorites are probably Beyonce's, Usher's, and Brandy's. He hosts SNL and starts getting movie deals. He spent the summer of 2003 touring Europe with Christina Aguilera. Stripped. She wants to say hello. And in August, he won 3 VMA awards, and he comes out of a speaker, blah, 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 blah. So Janet was going to work with NSYNC when she was first asked to do the Super Bowl. So she had already been familiar with Justin Timberlake. I can't remember if they were also rumored to have a fling. I believe they were. He also had a fling with Alyssa Milano. Go girl. I'm sure he was charmed. So just days leading up to the Super Bowl, there's no confirmation that Justin's actually going to be in it, just rumor. But Janet Jackson's choreographer does an interview. Okay, I'm going to read it to you. Choreographer Gil Dulao spoke to MTV News about the plan for the show. MTV was producing the halftime show. The article mentions Jessica Simpson, P. Diddy, Nelly, and Kid Rock as the announced guest performers for Jackson's show. I don't think the Super Bowl has ever seen a performance like this, Duldulao said. The dancing is great. Well, yeah. She's more stylized. She's more feminine. She's more woman. as she dances this time around. Whatever. There are some shocking moments in there too. Like what? This quote too. At the time of this report, MTV thought that the shock was going to be the as yet unannounced appearance of Justin Timberlake as part of Janet's performance. Janet Jackson's subsequent performance was not what had been rehearsed, discussed, or agreed with MTV. They were what? Covering their donkeys. Covering their donkeys. I am 87 million years old. February 1st, 2004. I cannot show you the video. You know why? TikTok guidelines. I can't show TikTok titties. So the show opens up. I'm just going to give you a play-by-play. Show opens up. All for you. If you really want it. All for you. Right? Jessica Simpson comes in. Marching band. Incredible. Janet leaves the stage. Where'd she go? Nelly. P. Diddy. Kid Rock. Why? We don't know. I don't ask me questions. Come on. Part 3. Yeah, it's my cat purring. Okay? She's here with us. Part 3. Justin Timberlake. Janet Jackson. I didn't even do the astrology. Have I lost my mind? Janet is a Taurus, Aries, Scorpio. Love it. Well, Justin Timberlake is a man. Aquarius, Sagittarius, Leo. Okay, so P. Diddy, Nelly, Kid Rock, still confused, come out, they do little songs, and then suddenly, what's that? Janet comes out for Rhythm Nation. Incredible. I didn't know I could go that low. She does Rhythm Nation. Justin Timberlake comes out and he does Rock Your Body. It's a good one. Justin actually arrived to the stadium 20 minutes before the halftime show. Ran. No time to practice. The whole performance, there's a bunch of backup dancers, except for this part. They all clear out. It's just the two of them on the stage. Everyone's like this. Or at least me, like this. And then the song ends with, gonna have you neck by the end of this song. That was good, right? Marge, where are you going? Oh, my cat left. It was my singing. Hateful. Then, at this point, right as he says, "None of this song," he grabs the, and they both look down, and yeah. Everyone screams. Everyone screams in the world. I'm sure the aliens were like, "What the fuck is that?" Literally. And not only that, but she has a ring. Okay? And in 2004, we were not a progressive people. We still aren't, but imagine back then. Like, yeah. How hard it is to say back then. Yeah. You see their faces of shock, and then it goes black. Completely black. 4 years later, tell the world, it was only exposed for 9/16 of a second, but America had already, shaved his hair and eaten it. You know what I mean? Lost its minds. There's nothing America loves more than satanic panic. You know what I mean? And at that point, every blonde bobbed Karen in the world thought that their child, their God-loving golden retriever looking child, had just witnessed witchcraft. Literally. My mom and I'm pretty sure my mom's freaked out. I mean, my mom wouldn't let me watch Titanic. I think I told this. She didn't let me watch Titanic. And I asked why, and she goes, because you can see your breast. And I was like, I literally have a nipple. That was kind of, our approach, I feel. 144 million people saw the Super Bowl that year. That still sounds like too much. What are we doing? It's the commercials. I know. So there is no question that Black women's bodies are sexualized and commodified and dehumanized on a regular schmegular basis. Especially heartbreaking because if you watch Janet's documentary, she talks about it how her whole entire life from the moment she started showbiz, what was she, 9? Part 4, Janet and Justin Timberlake, the halftime show. What the fuck happened? Okay, let's get a little deeper into it. As I was saying, Janet has been consistently sexualized, even as a child. When she started on Good Times at the age of 9, the wardrobe stylist asked her, why don't you show your test a little bit? What the 9? What chesticle? And for who? The next season, she's told, you're way too heavy. For who? What? She said this to the Village Voice, 1984. She wouldn't mind doing a video with Michael if there was a part for a chubby girl. What in the heckers are you talking about? Beautiful angel. So as she got older, as most women do, you find yourself a little bit more comfortable with embracing your sexuality, but she was heavily, heavily, heavily in control of that. So while she was I'm scared to show it, but you know the image, we all know the image. So she was definitely someone who would say, you know, I'm a sexually liberated person, but I'm paraphrasing, the public can't handle it. So 2004 happens. She finally feels like she has a grip on who she is, her body, and then the Super Bowl happens, and it's just open season on Janet's body. So reports say that right after the performance, Janet runs off stage and is sobbing. Producers are chasing after her. Producers are calling her. She's already on the jet. She's on her way to LA. Nobody can reach her. We find out later that Justin Timberlake was supposed to tear away leather flap to expose her red bra. Bustier busticaka. This is a quote from the Super Bowl supervisor, the halftime show supervisor, Beth McCarthy Miller. I don't know what happened, but I had a blanket for Janet to wrap her in, and I put the blanket on her, and she was crying. Other than that, there's not really any other secondhand accounts. She was in, she was out. However, Justin Timberlake did give interviews. Was available for interviews after the show. He does this interview with Access Hollywood. I want you to remind you that this woman is devastated. This icon that has fought tooth and nail for ownership of herself, her body, her music, her narrative, okay? Tooth and fucking nail. And Justin Timberlake says, oh my God, Access Hollywood, I'm going to show it to you. Are you ready? The link is broken, you cowards. I have the direct transcript. He smiles and calls the evening fun, and since he loves giving y'all something to talk about when asked about the steamy performance of Jackson. Are you unwell? Is it flesh-eating bacteria in the mind? Are you unwell? Part 5, Janet and Justin, right? So Justin is all smiles and says that he loves giving people something to talk about to Access Hollywood. So what do you think people thought? Planned? The entire career off the backs of women. In the entire career. If it wasn't for Michael Jackson and Britney and Janet Jackson. What? Anyway, so that night, Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake released a statement. I guess he had a moment in between interviews. Justin Timberlake's statement: I'm sorry if anybody was offended by the wardrobe malfunction during the halftime performance at the Super Bowl. It was not intentional and is regrettable. Which is funny because reports came out that Janet Jackson spoke to Justin on the phone right after and said, hey, please don't do interviews. Please don't release a statement. Oopsies. MTV's statement: the tearing of Janet Jackson's costume was unrehearsed, unplanned, and completely unintentional, and was inconsistent with the assurances we had about the content of the performance. MTV regrets this incident occurred, and we apologize to anyone who was offended by it. Are you seeing a pattern of blame here? Because I'm picking up on it. Are you? Which is weird to me and my critical thinking brain, because I feel like only one person had a piece of clothing ripped from their bodies. Only one person had their body exposed by somebody ripping clothes off them. I don't really digress, but we have to. So while it wasn't Janet Jackson's personal statement, she did release a statement via MTV News, and this was it. Janet Jackson has told MTV News that she apologizes for the incident. Okay? The day after. Like my soul.
Was actually made after the final rehearsal. MTV, CBS, the NFL had no knowledge of this whatsoever, and unfortunately, the whole thing went wrong in the end. I am really sorry if I offended anyone. That was truly not my intention.
I also found some more of MTV's statement. MTV was just as surprised and shocked as anyone last night. Janet Jackson acknowledges that she had no prior knowledge of her plans. What does that even mean? Because that sounds like a victim to me. Our goal with the Super Bowl halftime show was to produce an entertaining stage experience with a positive message about empowerment and voting. We are disappointed that this message has been overshadowed by this unfortunate event. You're overshadowing it. Part 6, Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson. I'm drooling. I just ate a little bit of chocolate. Okay, so let's talk about the ripple effect. So after the performance, the repercussions, everything just escalates. That week, the Federal Communications Commission launches an investigation into the performance after receiving over 500,000 complaints. Anyway, for context, the FCC, it regulates all communications via satellite, TV, radio, cable, all throughout the United States. Before the Super Bowl, the FCC said that they only get maybe a handful of complaints a year. But about 540,000 people complained. Jesus. Did you see the wheels turning? This is the quote from the FCC. The FCC probe will encompass the entire halftime program, including the brief exposure of singer Janet Jackson's breasts and the sexualized dance routine. Okay. Perpetuating. Like they were, I'm telling you, satanic panic. Okay, it's like they got into the mood and we just happened to see. Whatever. The FCC chairman, Michael Powell. I am outraged at what I saw during the halftime show at the Super Bowl. I'm sure you are. It's probably the first time you ever saw a boob. Like millions of Americans, my family and I gathered around the television for a celebration. Instead, that celebration was tainted by a classless, crass, and deplorable stunt where men were thrown against each other, hurting their brains. Just kidding. Our nation's children, parents, and citizens deserve better. Okay. Let me just remove the anger. Let me open the heart chakra, the throat chakra, so I can communicate this. An NFL executive said the organization applauded the FCC investigation, saying that the NFL and its fans were embarrassed by the entire show. Janet, come over to the Pessoa household. We're chilling. Then P. Diddy has a quote, okay? P. Diddy tells the New York Times, I have 3 sons. I don't mind. I'm very happy for them that they were able to see one of Janet Jackson's breasts in their lifetime. I don't think they'll be scarred for life. Support is support. Support is support. Then people were apparently terrified of boobies. It's giving my mom a Titanic. ER, why would you burp in part 6? So NBC had an episode of ER that week with a scene with an 80-year-old's like suggestive breast, and they pulled it because that equates. How dare you? Part 7, Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake. So, like I said, NBC had an episode of ER that they like scrapped the scene because an elderly woman's B word, I can't even say it, God forbid, was like suggested, scrapped it. Anti-Booby America, which is so un-American. Anywho, Zarinis. And then parents of Laguna Beach, California. Parents of Laguna Beach, California are so enraged at being subjected. Okay, whatever. Sorry, I didn't know y'all were tintless in Laguna. Enraged at the subject during Sunday's Super Bowl halftime show to the kind of programming their kids watch every day on MTV and VH1, they demanded that the school board cancel an agreement to let MTV shoot a reality series at their school. How fucking dare you? So then, continue. The Laguna Beach School Board called an emergency meeting where scores of angry parents and alums packed the board chambers, the Times reported, and dozens more flowed out into the hallways. The intellectual aspects of our community are threatened by MTV. The intellectual aspects of your community is threatened by your lack of critical thinking. MTV is the last of your problems. To me, it sounds like you need more magnesium in your diet. The neurons are not firing. Did you watch the Super Bowl? PTA President Ketta Brown told the Times. Ketta, chill. Quote, let's put it this way. I would prefer that my children not watch that network. Promise you, all of them are big fans of Teen Mom. So, hope you're proud of yourself, Keta Brown. You're really making a difference in the community. People are dying, Kimberly. This is also the most searched image on, not this one, Zabibi, was the most searched image on Google that year. So, it looks like the kids found a way around the network. Jesus Christ. The dark web. Yeah. Okay. And then, what's his name? MTV Chief Executive Tom Freston told Reuters, whatever the fuck, Reuters, whatever, who cares? Unless you guys want to interview me. I don't know who the fuck you are, but I'm available. Janet Jackson engineered it. He told people that he had information that Janet Jackson did this on purpose. And Keta Brown must have lost her shit. And a lot of people were like, of course. I remember listening to Y100, Elvis and Duran. I love you guys, but not that day. And I also remember you guys talking to Janet Jackson all the time when All For You came out. She loved to give you a little blurb, but God forbid. And they said that this was because she had an album coming out. Please, like she needs a boob. Like Part 8, Janet Jackson and the world losing their absolute minds. So after Tom told people, this was a planned stunt or whatever. Liar. Are your pants hot? Because they're on fire. So to rub salt in the wound, Janet Jackson is forced and cornered to drop out of her Grammy performance only 6 days later. So 6 days before the Grammys, basically forced to say, I can't come to the Grammys. Losers. In the 2022 Janet docuseries Questlove says this: in the case of Janet Jackson, I felt there was a lot of bias concerning her career post 2004, which I think was orchestrated in ways to silence her and kind of do away with her quickly as if she never existed over my dead frickin' body. Janet Jackson also has talked about how this took a psychological toll on her because she would walk into rooms and hallways where she was set to perform, interview, or just work, have meetings, and immediately she would hear whispers, and that it took such a toll and hit her confidence in such a way that I will never forgive you commoners and plebes. She's also said that she'd be walking outside, minding her own business, and men would come up to her and tell her that she needed to be put away. Put away where? The only people that need to be put away are the men that came up to her in prison. This is the only time I'm not for prison reform. Bitch. New York Times reports, people involved in the production of the Grammys program confirmed that Miss Jackson would either step down herself or be asked to step down. In addition to this, the head of CBS, what's his name? Pipi Kaka Jones, just kidding, Les Moons, said if they were to show up, they would have to give formal apologies during the Grammys live on air. But not live on air, but because of the Super Bowl, now that's why we have like a 7 to 15 second delay. Because of a nipple ring. You guys swear you're rock and roll. Didn't you guys love Twisted Sister, AC/DC? Well, they love boobs. So Janet, of course, like I said, was forced not to go, so Justin apologized for her. Isn't that nice? EW reports, CBS had serious reservations about letting either performer appear at the Grammys, but ultimately referred to the Recording Academy. Of the offer to attend if they agreed to an on-air apology, the statement said Miss Jackson declined the invitation, but Mr. Timberlake accepted. Kristen Wiig, bridesmaids, I'm sure we're very popular. I'm sure. Washington reporter Lisa de Moraes, Latina, news that Jackson was definitely out immediately triggered more nonstop phone calls and speculation as to whether Justin Timberlake, the one who actually entered Part 10, I think, whatever. I am my mother's daughter, and she would say much worse. News that Jackson was definitely out immediately triggered more nonstop phone calls and speculation as to whether Justin Timberlake, the one who actually introduced Jackson's Breast to the Nation, would also get the boot from the Grammys cast, which airs on CBS. And of course, much discussion as to how CBS would show Jackson the door without showing Justin Timberlake the door. I'm so disappointed in you. Justin Timberlake has revealed that the idea for the costume reveal was hers, and she pitched it to Timberlake. But last we checked, Timberlake was an adult with the ability to say no. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Lisa, I see you. I see you, and I like it. The article continues, shall we? Justin, pee-pee cockhead, when not hard at work rehearsing his Grammy performance inside the Staples Center, was hard at work on the steps of the Staples Center, making absolutely sure that reporters staked out their no that the Super Bowl halftime incident was entirely Jackson's fault. On Wednesday, for instance, sorry, it's revolting, I gagged, I didn't burp. He told his story to a local TV station, KCBS, saying that right before the Super Bowl show, he got a call from Jackson and her choreographer telling him that they wanted to rip her bra off. In that interview, Timberlake, who had his sad face on, Lisa, she said, I know a show when I see one, and this one isn't even good. With his sad face on, this face makes me sad, said that when he ripped Jackson's bodice during the halftime performance, he was shocked and appalled to discover a breast underneath. What do you think is under a bra? Oh my God. Quote, Justin Timberlake, all I could say was, oh my God, oh my God. However, didn't you do an interview with Access Hollywood that is so conveniently scrubbed? How about you do me a favor and cry me a river all the way? Let me not. Timberlake also wanted to make sure that the reporter on the steps of the Staples Center knew how much he suffered. Okay. Is this okay, Justin? Did I shoot you a little navel? Can you handle it? Are you shocked and appalled? I'm just frustrated with the whole situation, he said. Now, with his frustrated face on, Lisa at it again. I'm frustrated that my character is being questioned. And fact of the matter is, I've had a good year, a really good year, especially with my music. Sounds a little pussyfied to me. Part 11 of Justin Timberlake pissing me the shit off. Pissing me the shit off. So at this time, People magazine called Justin Timberlake the Teflon Man. For surviving so good. Good for you. He celebrates his first Grammy wins. He gets Album of the Year and Pop Vocal Album. He performed Senorita during the show, which I regrettably love that song. Good thing Janet Jackson's brother was supposed to have it, but he rejected it because it wasn't good enough for him. During his acceptance speech for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance for Cry Me a River, he apologized and said this: I know it's been a rough week on everybody, seeing my face all the time. Just kidding. I know it's been a rough week for everybody. What occurred was unintentional, completely regrettable, and I apologize if you guys are offended. Poor Jessica Biel. I said it. Janet Jackson's album drops, and I'm telling you right now, Damn Baby on this fucking album is a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. Please go stream this album. It is fantastical. It was certified platinum, and it's one of her bestly reviewed, critically acclaimed albums. She had been working on it for 18 months. And instead of having the opportunity to promote her work and talk about how proud she was of this body of work, she was harassed by the public.
Welcome to the show. Now that's almost malfunctioning, isn't it?
Whatever.
Man, you very nice. Okay. By the way, you smell wonderful. You always smell great. I really appreciate that in a guest.
Thank you.
What the fuck does that even mean? Okay.
All right, let's run through this now. Tell us exactly what happened from the time you got up on Super Bowl Sunday to the time the episode took place during the halftime.
I don't want to relive any of that.
All right.
I mean,
You don't mind if I ask you some questions about it, though? First of all, you knew it was going to happen, right? You did know it was going to happen.
no, I didn't.
You didn't know it was going to happen.
No, I didn't.
So it came as a complete surprise to you.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, it
So,
was
so
really an accident. It wasn't a stunt.
was not a stunt.
No.
Was not premeditated.
No.
Was nothing that you had rehearsed.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you say no already? Do you know how to speak English, please? Hello?
So how did it happen? What exactly transpired?
Dave, you're gonna make me relive this.
Part 12. Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake, Nipplegate, all of it. Okay, so Janet Jackson does a slew of uncomfortable interviews where in many interviews she's just like, do we really have to do this? It pains me. It pains me to watch because I want to step in and be like, pick on someone your own size. I don't know anybody David Letterman's size. How tall is that man? Whatever. Anyway, in 2018, the Huffington Post released a report alleging that Les Moves, the CEO and chairman of CBS, who later resigned because of various allegations. He got Me Too'd. Funny. He was convinced that Janet Jackson did this on purpose, and he told people that he was personally offended and personally embarrassed, was going to do everything in his power to ruin her album release. Are you bored? Aren't you CEO and chairman of a major network? There's nothing else you can do? Nothing? What was on CBS that year? Like, you were just running amok in the halls and studio sets being like, Janet offended me. No one's thinking about you, babe. Sources close to him said he would often say that Janet wasn't, and I quote, sufficiently repentant and wanted to see her, quote, pay the price. And he demanded that Janet Jackson would apologize to him in person. Who do you think you are? Besides a creepy man in a CBS office. Another quote. Huffington. His colleagues knew him to be the kind of person who held grudges and someone he did not cross because he had the power to make or break your career. Justin Timberlake reportedly showed up to the LA offices of CBS to give an in-person apology. I'm sure you did. And got Mooms's approval. Janet did not come to his office and apologize. What do you want? So he ordered Viacom and VH1 to make no mention of her album. And I know that a lot of people right now don't recall the MTV. The MTV has changed a lot. It's evolved. But back then, like 2004, are you fucking kidding me? That if you were not on TRL, like if they were not playing your videos, forget about it. After the Super Bowl, she quote unquote parted ways with Virgin Records. She had a slew of movies that she was set to start that rescinded their offers. And in Disney World, there was like a Mickey Mouse and Janet Jackson statue, and they took it down. I think Keta was there. Part 13, Janet Jackson, Nipplegate, there he is. Whatever. So 2006, bro. 2006. Oh my God. Janet and Justin Timberlake do their own separate sit-down interviews about the Super Bowl. 2006, bro. After Les Moon's breastfed him, he went on the MTV News John Norris. Do you remember they would do like MTV, like 2020 kind of style, whatever, Dateline? And he spoke about the situation.
That the Super Bowl incident was one of the bigger mistakes, I think was the word you used.
Super Bowl incident. You kind of have to have a sense of humor about all of this because, like you said, everybody takes this so serious. Like,
well,
it's not that serious.
When you
That's
Middle
funny.
East situation, that's serious.
That's serious. It's
You know?
scary serious. Yeah. Was it the performance or was it the aftermath of the Super Bowl that was the mistake?
I mean, I guess it was a little bit of both.
Excuse me. Go on. Say it with your chest. Go on.
I think,
You're
in
thinking?
my honest
Opinion
now, it was more the aftermath from me.
Oh.
And there could have been ways that I could have gone about it and handled it better.
What could you have done differently? I mean, you mean as far as when people
Well,
said,
I think that
he hung Janet out to dry?
Yes.
That particularly, I mean, I don't take that. That's just people talking,
Why are you stuttering?
and that's what they'll do. I don't take that to heart. But what I do take to heart in the bigger picture of it is I'm a part of a community. I'm a part of a community that consider themselves artists. And if there was something that I could have done in her defense,
Could have?
that was more.
He was helpless, guys. He was helpless. He also goes on to say this. He's like, it's too much space. Whatever. It's an understatement to say that it was sort of unfair if you consider it 50-50. I probably got 10% of the blame because you blamed her. That's not math. If it was math, I wouldn't be able to figure it out. This I got. And that says something about society. I think that America's harsher on women, and I think that America's unfairly harsh on ethnic people. Damn. The next month, Janet appears on Oprah. And Janet's like, this is the last time I'm ever talking about this because it's 2000. Part 14, Janet, Nipplegate. Okay, so she goes on Oprah. Excuse me. She goes on Oprah and she says a lot of heart-wrenching things. One of the things that really stuck out to me is that she said, I was, during the apology video, I kept asking producers what I was apologizing for because it was a mistake. And then Oprah asked, did Justin leave you hanging? And this is Janet's quote. Are you ready? All the emphasis was put on me and not on Justin. And then she pauses. She thinks about it. She laughs a little. We were friends, and it's not that we are not friends now. We haven't spoken. We haven't spoken, Justin. But I consider him a friend, and I'm a very loyal person, and friendship is very important to me. She's better than me. I'd be in jail. Then Oprah references to all the interviews that Justin has done. Good. And Janet, again, gets really nervous, and she says, I think they did put all the emphasis on me as opposed to us, and I have to say that Justin has reached out. We haven't spoken, but he has reached out to speak with me. And like I said, friendship is very important to me, and certain things you just don't do to friends. In my own time, I'll give him a call. I hope you didn't. What? Who said that? It seems like the calls were too little too late. Like after the Grammys, when he was on the steps, on his little soapbox. Someone once said that Justin Timberlake is Kevin G in Mean Girls. That is horrible. A decade later, everybody that said anything negative about Janet has come out. Everybody. Except Les. I think, yeah. Sorry. I think he had apologies to make and places to step down from. But everybody else has all apologized and said that they made a serious mistake with Janet Jackson. Even Justin Randall Timberlake. So in the 2000s, Twitter, social media started demanding that Justin Timberlake apologize formally to Janet Jackson. Michael Powell, the chairman of the FCC at the time, remember him? What do you call that's done over and over again in every interview? Tasteless, crass, and classless. A stunt. In 2014, he said this. I personally thought that was really unfair. It all turned into being about her. In reality, if you slow the thing down, it's really Justin ripping off her breastplate. You think we're stupid like you? No. Part 15, Nipplegate, Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake. Let's get into the apologies. So after the overly necessary, harsh critiques, I don't even like the word when it comes to Janet Jackson, so after the slander and trying to end her career and Justin Timberlake apologizing to the people that were actively trying to ruin her career, her decades-long career, I can't even. Janet Jackson, you wish, bitch. An iconic figure for women, for black women, for sexuality, for talent, for music, for dancing, for expression. Don't even. Daniel Smith, chief of Billboard magazine, said this: "I think people forget that there were not very many black people on television." Okay. Kathy Hughes, founder of the largest black-owned media company, said this: "The pressure that was on her had to be very significant. White executives always start from the premise of what is acceptable to their white audience. And because we have been brainwashed that white is beautiful, you have a pressure that does not exist for a white female artist. There is a double, no triple standard that she had to live up to at a very impressionable age." Let's fucking go. Janet Jackson was the highest paid artist in the 90s and opened doors that Michael Powers could never. I think it's also important to mention how many artists have profited off black proximity. Kendra James, Cosmo. He's been using blackness as a convenient set dressing for his entire career. He collects and appropriates black talent when it suits him and sheds it as soon as he slips down the town car waiting for outside the concert. He was wrong this week. He's been wrong before. And I assure you, shrouded in his cloak of white privilege, his Teflon, People magazine, he'll be wrong again. In 2018, he was back on the Super Bowl stage. He invited Janet Jackson. She accepted. Just fucking kidding. She declined. She was inducted to the Hall of Fame after being nominated nearly a decade before, but the backlash lasted years. February 2021, Justin finds the time to finally make a public apology. This came after the public outcry after framing Britney Spears, the documentary, started streaming. The documentary details the kind of abuse and harassment Britney Spears received because of Justin Timberlake. And don't get me started. I'll make myself small so you can read it. So that's that. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm really not a big fan